Boy, John boy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this nature journal workshop about savoring the moment. My name is Rebecca Rolnick, and if you don't know me, I am a nature journal teacher in the nature journal community. And I especially tend to focus more on the writing and words side of nature journaling, as opposed to more of the art technique. But the great thing about nature journaling is that we can use all of these different skills in whatever combinations we like to help us pay closer attention to the world around us, have a deeper connection to nature and the land, and also to ourselves and to our communities. So to start off, I invite everybody to put in the chat if you haven't already. Um, Introduce yourself. What part of the world are you coming from? And I always like to ask at the beginning of my classes, what is something that you're thankful for today? Could be something from nature, or it could just be something in general that you're grateful for. And if you also, if you like, I'd love to know what brought you to this workshop today. I'll just give everybody a minute and you could put that into the chat if you like. I also invite you to turn on your camera if you feel comfortable with that, um, but do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Hi, Rachel. So yeah, I'm Rebecca, and I'm from upstate New York, which is the ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. And yeah, today I'm grateful for uh, so many things. Um, let's see. I saw a hummingbird moth last week. That was really cool. I'm thankful for that. Okay, so welcome, Dorothy. Thankful for the field, forest, and pond on your property. Welcome, Susan from Tennessee. Grateful for the quiet and beauty where you live. And welcome, Kat from Hawaii. Thankful for beautiful pink island sunrise. Welcome, Ashley from Saratoga Springs, New York. Yes, New York. Thankful for all the birds outside the window. Welcome, Shamim, if that's how you say your name. Grateful for the sunny morning. All right, so welcome everybody. And oh, and welcome Barbara from California. Grateful for antihistamines. Yeah, it's that time of year. And for going on a hike in the mountains and seeing the water from the snow melt spill out of the reservoir. That was pretty amazing. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Oh, does everybody have a piece of paper or something to write with? Oh, and hello, Lynette from Wyoming. Okay, so today what we're going to be doing, we're talking a little bit about what does savoring mean and why does it matter? Why is it so good for us? Then there are 4 mental habits that can help us to savor happiness and the good things in our life. And we'll do a couple of writing prompts, which will help us to practice this skill, especially in relation to nature and our nature journaling. Because you can savor anything, but especially relevant to us here is savoring our experiences in nature, because nature is something that can bring so much joy to us, but especially when we take that extra attention to fully absorb it. And then we'll have some time to share what we wrote about for anybody who wants to, but nobody has to share. So this is a free class, but you can also send a donation if you like. Um, I'll put these links into the chat. Any donations are appreciated, but there's no pressure. You can be here either way. What John Muir Laws and some of us like to say is that if you are not able to make a donation, then pass it on by doing an act of kindness for somebody else. So actually, yeah, let me put that in the chat just so that I don't forget, just in case anybody does want to send a donation. But again, there's no pressure. So what is savoring exactly? So thinking about how if we want to live with more wonder and more joy, which is what brings a lot of us to nature journaling, and make instead of time always feeling like it's rushing by and slowing down a little bit, we have to be able to fully savor all of the enjoyable experiences that we have. And I encountered this idea, I learned about this recently. I've been reading this book called Laziness Does Not Exist by psychologist Dr. Devon Price. And in one of the chapters it's a really interesting book. I definitely recommend it. But one of the chapters, they're talking about, how you are not your achievements. And we tie our sense of self-worth to our achievements and what we've accomplished. And we just always feel like we're never enough. We're never doing enough. And I think even more broadly than that, there's so many bad things going on in the world. It's really easy to get overwhelmed by that and kind of forget to enjoy the things that actually are going well. And so they write about how savoring is a skill, and it's one that a lot of people are not really practiced at, but we can all practice it. And we can use that growth mindset, which we love to talk about in the nature journaling community. So a lot of these quotes, the next few slides are all from the book that I was just talking about. So in the book, they write about this other researcher and psychologist, Dr. Fred Bryant, who's spent over 40 years studying what does a meaningful life actually look like. And so he says we can do a lot more than just not be depressed. We can study what makes a person truly happy, what makes a person feel like their life is beautiful, that has meaning. We can maximize the good things, not just downplay the bad. And he writes that it all comes down to savoring, the process of deeply and presently enjoying a positive experience. And so it says a savoring actually occurs 3 times. First, when anticipating an upcoming event with excitement and optimism. Then, when fully appreciating the positive moment as it's happening. And finally, when looking back on the experience with a sense of reverence or gratitude after it's over. And that for me, that was actually a bit surprising because usually when I think about, being mindful or present, it's when the goal is to have this kind of, non-judgmental awareness, be fully in the present moment, not thinking of it as good or bad, and not thinking at all about the past or future. Just kind of general mindfulness things that I've learned before. But it's interesting because this research shows that it's actually not always about being in the present moment, but it's also about anticipating and remembering good things. So it says, when a person savors, they relish the things they love and devote their full attention to experiencing them in a mindful, appreciating way. You can savor anything you find pleasant, whether it's a picturesque hike in a nature reserve, a cold, refreshing cocktail, or an especially challenging crossword puzzle. All you have to do is approach it with slow, mindful gratitude, rather than seeing it as an item on a to-do list that you have to check off. And I think that especially relates to nature journaling, because a lot of times when people want to start naming nature journaling, you kind of make a goal that you want to nature journal every day, or do a 30-day challenge or something like that. And then it just kind of becomes like, oh, well, I have to do it just because I said that I would. And well, that can kind of take the fun out of it sometimes. So why does this matter? What are the benefits of it? So the research has shown that there are many benefits to savoring something. It says when a person engages in savoring, time seems to slow down. The details of the moment become lush and vivid. Happy moments feel happier when they're savored, and that happiness lasts longer after the experience is over. Savorers also know how to look back on positive experiences and live them over again, which allows them to boost their happiness even when life isn't going so well. Perhaps as a result, frequent savorers often have much higher levels of life satisfaction and more positive moods compared to people who don't savor very much. Frequent savorers experience less depression. They cope with issues such as aging and declining health far better than non-savorers. People suffering from chronic pain, heart disease, and cancer experience better long-term health outcomes if they know how to savor the good things in life, and they find their illnesses less depressing and stressful as well. Since happiness generally increases a person's odds of being healthy, savoring can play a role in extending one's lifespan and warding off illness. So there are physical and mental health benefits. And then they say the best thing about savoring is that anyone can learn how to do it. Fred and his colleagues have consistently found that it's a skill that can be learned. Okay, and one last thing before we go to the next section. So I talk about all the time how gratitude is one of the foundations, one of the basis of connection. But I realize that kind of thinking about it this way emphasizes that it's not just an intellectual sort of gratitude. It's not just like, oh, I know that I need water to survive. So logically, that means I'm grateful for the rain. But it means that you have gratitude because you are so deeply, thoroughly enjoying it and savoring it with all of your senses. Okay, so it's really good for us as individuals to be able to savor things, but it's also really good for the world around us. This is a quote that I really like from E.B. White. You might know him as the author of Charlotte's Web, Trumpet of the Swan, Stuart Little, all those children's books, but he did a lot of writing for adults as well, including a lot of nature essays. And so this quote from him says, "Every morning I awake torn between a desire to save the world and an inclination to savor it. This makes it hard to plan the day. But if we forget to savor the world, what possible reason do we have for saving it? In a way, the savoring must come first." And I really think that's true. And it kind of can seem selfish sometimes, but if we don't start by savoring it and really enjoying what the world has to offer us, then it can be really easy to become disillusioned and nihilistic and not really feel like it's worth doing anything to help out. But when we are enjoying it so much, then we feel satisfied and we feel like we have enough. And then we feel like we have even extra to give. So that way we can give back to help others and help the world around us to be a better place. Okay, so now we're going to learn about there are some mental habits that can help us, that can either dampen our happiness or to help us savor the happiness. So first, these are some of the habits that dampen happiness. Kind of being a Debbie Downer, so to speak. So first is suppression. That means hiding or repressing positive feelings due to shyness, modesty, or fear. This could be because we're afraid of seeming unprofessional or not wanting to show signs of weakness or vulnerability. Then there's distraction, ignoring the joy of the moment and concerning yourself with other things. This might come in the form of multitasking or just being distracted. Fault finding is disregarding the positive side of an experience and focusing on what's lacking or what could be better. This can often go along with perfectionism, having such high standards that we can never live up to them and only seeing what's lacking instead of seeing the good things that are there. And the last is negative mental time travel, which is, anticipating things that could happen in the future that are negative, having kind of anxiety about that, or spending time reminiscing about painful experiences in the past. And so all of this is not to say that we should be happy all the time. I like to talk about how we feel the whole range of human emotions, and that can be part of our nature journaling. Um, and it's really important to let ourselves be sad or to grieve when that's what we're feeling. But what these dampening habits are talking about specifically is about when you are experiencing happiness, but you're just pushing it down and you don't let yourself fully feel it when it is there. So then there are the opposite of each one. These are the habits that can help us to savor happiness. Oh, I was going to ask also, if anybody wants to put into the chat, no judging, but do you notice if you find yourself doing any of these habits? I invite you to put in the chat if you're willing to share either number 1, 2, 3, or 4, or a combination. If you find yours 1 for suppression, 2 for distraction, 3 for fault finding, or 4 for negative mental time travel. Definitely 4, negative mental time travel. Number 2, distraction, suppression, and fault finding. Working on being not self-deprecating, which comes from being perfectionist. Yes. All of them, mostly negative time travel. Yeah, I've definitely done all of these as well. It's probably mostly negative mental time travel, and fault finding, but I'm working on that. These are all, so they're all habits. It's not doesn't mean that we're good or bad, but we can just notice if we have these habits. 2 or 3, but decide to really enjoy doing my taxes and things went better. Always enjoyed nature though. Done all 4 at different times, but as I age, I'm more aware of working on it. So again, it's just to notice. But now let's look at the opposite habits that help us to savor happiness. So instead of suppression, instead of pushing down our emotions of happiness, the first one is behavioral displays, showing happiness in our behavior, smiling, singing, jumping for joy, flapping our hands excitedly, whatever it is for you. Instead of distraction, being present, living in the present moment, focusing on the experience as it's happening, pushing away distractions and being mindful. Instead of fault finding, downplaying things, capitalizing, which is communicating about a positive experience with other people, celebrating an event, sharing good news with other people, getting other people excited. Marnie, we were kind of talking about this on the walk this morning. And instead of negative mental time travel, positive mental time travel, reflecting on happy memories or reminding people of a pleasant shared past, planning and anticipating desired future events. And I guess just for the sake of not overemphasizing the negative things, why don't you put in the chat if you like 1, 2, 3, 4, if you notice any of these habits that you do already do. I don't think it's really like one or the other. Like we're always doing the negative habits or always doing the savoring habits. But 4 all the time, that's awesome. 4, always planning a fun adventure. 3 and 4 probably the most. Behavioral displays. Need someone to hype up what you're excited about? I'm your lady. Nice. Three, love to share observations on social media. Number 3, sharing my excitement when I teach. Started a mindfulness practice at the beginning of the pandemic, so do try to be more be in the present more, especially when outside. It sounds like a lot of you are already doing a lot to practice your savoring skills. Today we're gonna do a little bit more. So first, the first habit, as we just talked about, is behavioral displays. So that suggests that if you want to be happy and appreciate your life, then you should show your joy when you're feeling it. And the author wrote, as someone who loves to flap my hands frantically when I'm excited and who lives to coo and squeal obnoxiously whenever I see a puppy, this is very good news. Um, so I invite you, if you like, to put in the chat or just write it down privately if you don't want to share. Um, are there any behaviors? What kind of behaviors come up in you when you're feeling joy? And if you have learned to suppress them, either been told that it's not appropriate or made fun of them, then maybe you have to think back to your childhood. But either what does happen for you, or what might it feel like if you allowed some of these behaviors to arise in you sometimes. So like for me, I was just thinking about yesterday how as a kid, I would sometimes be called Bouncy Becca, and my parents would compare me to Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. So I'd always be bouncing around when I was happy. And I also another thing for me, a couple years ago, I realized that if I'm allowing myself to, I actually do kind of flap my hands sometimes when I'm feeling really excited about something. So yeah, just kind of like I guess that's important because then it's not just kind of, intellectually in our heads, but like really in our bodies that we're experiencing the emotions. Um, yeah, and like the other thing said, it could be singing or um, smiling, whatever it is to you. I invite you to share something in the chat. When I get excited, my voice gets louder. I laugh about it now, but it used to really embarrass me. I think laughing is one that can be understood, can be said. I think you mean to say misunderstood. I laugh at my kids and they may take it like it's at them. Yeah, that's true. That can be a tricky one. It's like, how do you know if you're laughing with somebody, not at them? Um, I always say it's me smiling audibly. I love that. Kat says my shoulders and posture relax. Oh, that's a good point. Ira says I jiggle joyfully at squirrels, giggle joyfully at squirrels, flowers, clouds. So yeah, there's a lot of different things. And it can be different for everybody. All right, if you're still writing, just finish that up in the chat. Our first writing prompt that I want to do together today is for the second habit, being present. Oh, Susan says I cheer at the TV when my team wins and it makes it talks worry. Um, okay, so savoring means putting down distractions, not trying to multitask, really drinking in the details of a good experience. So for practicing right now, let's practice savoring this present moment that we're in right now. Um, so just I'll put a timer on for 5 minutes and just jot down some notes. Kind of come into your body, feel the chair under your seat, feel what's the temperature of the air, your breath, are there any sounds around you? Um, and again, like I was saying earlier, a lot of what I've learned about mindfulness is to just kind of be aware and not judging anything as good or bad. But for this case, let's pay attention to what's happening that you do enjoy right now. No matter what's going on, even if there are bad things going on, can you find some sensation or something happening around you that you're enjoying and just kind of jot down what you notice. So just some examples for me as I was putting this together yesterday. I was noticing hearing the bird song and seeing the leaves move in the wind outside the window. The texture of the paper in the book is very satisfying. The taste of a drink of water. There's a purple glass ornament hanging up that has the sunlight coming through it. Whatever it is. And again, we're not writing right now for the purpose of writing something presentable, but just using the action of writing to focus and train our attention onto finding what is pleasurable for us. So I'm putting the timer on now for 5 minutes. And just put whatever comes to mind. 30 seconds. Okay, the time is up. Finish up whatever sentence or bullet point you're on. We can always come back to this later. Or it will be a different present moment, but you get what I mean. Okay, so I'm again, we'll have time to share at the end for anybody who wants to. So our second writing prompt is positive mental time travel to the past. Let's take a few minutes to reminisce or reflect on a happy nature memory from the past. Even if you've nature journaled it before, written about it before, let's take time again now to remember it and savor it even more. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be something seemingly small. So our happy memories are still there for us to revisit. They're like a resource for us, especially in times when we might not feel good or times when things are difficult. In those times, we don't have to be in the present moment. We can revisit things from the past. So if everybody's ready, I'm going to put the timer on again for 5 minutes and just jot down any thoughts that come to mind about a happy nature memory from the past, especially remembering, all of your senses. What did it feel like? Anything that comes to mind. Starting 20 seconds left. Okay, the 5 minutes are up. So again, finish whatever thought you're at. Also, the TA Kitty has joined us. This is Reese. He's kind of become known in my classes as the teaching assistant kitty. He just likes to come in sometimes. He's helping. Okay, so thank you everybody for participating with that prompt. I hope that went well for you. And now we just have one more, and then we will have some time to share. So, yeah, let's just pause for a second because 10 minutes of focused writing is kind of a lot. So, the last one is positive mental time travel, but this time to the future. So, this is all about what's something that you're planning for, looking forward to, something you're excited about, getting that feeling of anticipation and hope. So obviously, unlike the past, we don't know exactly what this one will be like, but we can imagine, we can think about what we're excited for, what we hope to experience. So just some ideas. Do you have any trips planned coming up? Are there any flowers coming up to bloom that you're excited to see? Are you looking forward to warmer weather, going swimming, maybe birds hatching and baby birds flying? Something that you are going to experience with other people. For me, I am looking forward to my birthday is on Friday, and this weekend I'm going camping with my family. So I'll probably write about that, just think about what that might be like. So if this one doesn't steal my pencil. Okay, I'm gonna put the timer on one more time for 5 minutes and see you after that. 30 more seconds. Okay, time is up. So for the last time, finish up any thoughts you might have. And for the moment, set that down. Okay, so before we share, thanks again, everybody, for uh, staying here for this long in the program. I'm going to put some links into the chat again. Donation. I also have some free resources that you can check out. I've got a YouTube channel where I put all of the recordings from these free workshops. There are a lot on there if you want to watch other past recordings or revisit this one. Also got a free ebook about science and imagination, exploring words in your nature journal that has some more prompts that you can try out. So take a look at any of those if you like. But for now, we have time to share for the end. And so I usually have time for sharing at the end, but now with this new knowledge, now I know that we're also practicing the third mental habit of savoring, which is capitalizing. And again, that's communicating about a positive experience with other people, celebrating an event, sharing good news with other people, and getting other people excited. So we're all just building off of each other's joy. So it helps, yeah, so it helps us to feel better and savor more deeply when we share. And it also helps boost the moods of other people around us. So it helps everybody. Um, but again, you don't have to share. There's no pressure to. And I do have time today. If we go over the hour, we can, if anybody still wants to share. But if there is anybody who wants to share, if you have to leave by 1 o'clock, please let me know and I'll make sure to have you go first. So just raise your hand either in the video or click on the raise hand button if you'd like to share. Oh, hi, Kate Ryder. I didn't see you come in. Have you been there this whole time? Oh, no worries. I'm glad you're here, Kate. Oh, Dorothy, I see you have a hand up.
Oh, hi there. I'll take my hand down first here. Can you hear me okay? Okay,
I can
great.
hear you.
That was a great, I had to step out for a second. So, were you asking to share about which habit in particular or any of the
Anything you
above?
want to share, any of the 3 writing prompts, or
Okay,
honestly, if you have any other thoughts or
okay.
things you want to say, you can
Um,
do that too.
I just wanted to talk about the past memory. I
Mhm.
was sitting at a cafe table at a botanical garden. This was in 2022. And I had been encouraged by someone to try drawing from life, which was kind of a push for me because I usually do my nature drawing often from reference photos. And so I was doing it from life, and I was also in the public eye, which I was a little self-conscious. But it was a beautiful day. I was drinking great coffee. I was really focused on drawing this particular plant. And the 2 insights I got was, first of all, nobody noticed me or even came over to say hi or ask me what I was doing. I mean, I was completely oblivious to what I was up to. And the second thing is that I really experienced flow because I was
Mm.
so concentrated on the drawing and the looking and surrounded by the beauty and the sun. And I really think I did experience, the definition of flow. And it feels great 2 years later or a year later to think about it again. It really does.
Yeah, that flow state is so powerful. And I think I've read that the more that we have, that can be something that's kind of practiced too, is the more we can kind of imagine what it feels like. I think I've read, then it's easier for us to get back into that state again. But yeah, it sounds like a great memory. Thank you for sharing, Dorothy.
Oh, I'll just piggyback off of that
Yeah, and
just
Susan, you
quick.
can be
Sorry.
next. You go ahead, Rachel.
I just was going to say the first time I really experienced that after, many years of just being busy and distracted was we did a Bob Ross painting class, and it's 3 hours long. And I was like, ooh, that's long. This is going to be a little whatever. But like, you have to make choices. You have to put stuff on on the canvas. And it was it was an amazing experience like that, where it's just like you no one cares what you're doing because they're doing it too. And that flow happened, and it was pretty cool.
Thank you, Rachel. And Susan?
Hi, I'll just read you what I read about looking to the future,
Yeah, go ahead.
or what I wrote, sorry. I have a new bird feeder camera set up and have already seen birds new to me. I am looking forward to seeing other birds that I have not previously observed near my home as they continue raising their babies, settle in for the summer, and then migrate through again in the late summer and fall. I hope to see and identify butterflies as the summer passes. I plan to go on a field trip to the Hatchie National Wildlife Refuge and record the birds using Merlin.
Like a lot of great things to look forward to. Running me to pay attention to butterflies too. Well, thank you, Susan, for sharing. Anybody else? Barbara.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand on the thing. Hi. Yeah, I like all of it. I was remembering my favorite place I hiked to up at in the High Sierra. It's a Big Pine Lakes is like this turquoise lake that you look down on, and there's this giant granite. It's called Temple Crag. So it's like the most beautiful scene I've ever seen, and I like to sit there. And that was a few years ago. So I'm planning to go back in August. But the cool plan is that I'm going to watch the Perseid meteor showers up at the
Mm.
bristlecone pine forest. up at like 10,000 feet. I'm planning to camp up there in the ancient bristlecone pines. But first I'm going to hike to the oldest living thing in the world, I think, like a 5,000-year-old bristlecone pine tree named Methuselah. So I want to go hang out by it. Last year I found the biggest bristlecone pine in the world. I went to visit that, but this year I'm going to go to the oldest one. And all these 5,000-year-old trees, you know, like they're fun to hang out with and just look at. They're beautiful. So that's my anticipation for this year, like go out and have that fun adventure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that will be a great adventure. Right. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, like Kate Ryder said too, I think it's I like that you're looking forward to something that also connects you to the past. So you're reminiscing the past and also looking forward to the future. Right. Anybody else? Marnie?
Piggybacking off of that, I believe the first writing prompt we did was more about being present right now. And I'm fortunate to live near the Erie Canal, and there's a lot of water near that. And so when we were asked to reflect on the past, a water memory came to me as I was, looking. Sorry, apparently I'm getting a phone call. It's probably nothing, but I was remembering when I was at camp, in 5th grade, I moved out of state, and I left behind a best friend, and our parents arrived. We had to move in the middle of the school year, and our parents arranged for us to attend camp together for a week, and we spent the entire week taking out these rowboats onto the lake. And I always feel a lot of joy when I see sun kind of glittering on lakes. When a lake is really peaceful, and I think it brings me back to that week with my friend after we were separated. And I think we felt very independent being able to take the boat out on our own. We had to pass a swim test and wear life jackets, but it's kind of rare that you get to be out there. It wasn't a very big lake. I'm sure we were pretty safe, but at the time it felt like we were, kind of grown up and responsible. And so I didn't realize it until someone just brought it up to, today, that you can actually connect these savoring experiences between what I was thinking about in the present. And then it took me back to this memory with my friend that I hadn't thought of in many years. So thank you for that.
Thank you for sharing, Marnie. Yeah, that is interesting. And I think also interesting too, you said about like as a kid having that moment when you kind of feel more adult, more responsible is kind of like that joy, I guess, can be associated with like, I don't know, kind of doing something for yourself, like coming into your own person, like you're having that sense of self and doing something that's challenging. Can be something enjoyable.
That was actually part of the thing of doing it for myself. We had been to that camp before, and our parents had encouraged us to, try all the activities. And that year we didn't. We just rebelled against them. And they still make fun of us for just going out in the rowboats all summer, but that's what we wanted. That's what we did. So I think it was part of that.
You know what you like. Right. Now we're almost at the hour. I can stay a little longer for anybody who wants to, but just before we go, I want to make sure to I have this last question. I would invite you to put in the chat with the letter H, what was most helpful from today's workshop for you? What will you take with you, apply to your nature journaling or to your life in general? And then also, if you like, with the letter C, I'm curious, was there anywhere where you would like some more clarity or anything you're confused about, anything about what we did today that was challenging, or is anything that you're curious about now that you'd like to learn more about? You don't have to answer all of those questions, just if any of them apply to you. Mostly, what was your biggest takeaway or what was most helpful to you? Rachel says book recommendations. Wasn't expecting and we've been searching for more books. Also, there's the connection. You never know what's going to be online. I needed it. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that was something that you did today. It's good to meet you. And Lynette says thanks for the help. It says I'm a pretty anxious person, so it's a good reminder to consciously pull up positive past experiences and think hopeful thoughts of the future. Definitely. I tend to struggle with anxiety sometimes. Well, it's been pretty good lately, but I definitely a reminder. The prompt about the future, nice to be able to savor forward, and that adds positive feelings to my anticipation of upcoming events. That was good. Shamim says, I know my to-be read list is a mile long, so having a few takeaways without actually reading the book is helpful. You're welcome. Barbara says, most helpful to get me to stop doing things and join everyone in a fun Zoom. Appreciate everyone's sharing. Now gotta pack up and head out for a hike to savor springtime on the edge of melting snow and blooming flowers. That sounds wonderful, and I hope you have an amazing time. Bye, Barbara. Marnie says, I was very interested to learn about what savoring is and all the ways it can be done. I'm making the connection not only to nature, but in other activities and experiences I enjoy. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here. So last call now, if anybody does want to share or share any thoughts. If you have to go, then I hope you have a really great day and hope to see you again sometime. Oh, and don't forget to save the chat if you want it. All right, I'm going to end the recording here. So if you're watching the recording, have a great day.